BookTube, and welcome to the greatest science fiction community in the galaxy. To my loyal cult members, welcome back. I love you all. Spoilers, spoilers, spoilers. I would love to talk about this book and avoid all the details and the reveals, but the spoilers are a big part of the experience. Without the stuff that actually happens, you're just going to be left with a vague synopsis. If that's what you want, if that's the sort of video you're looking for, then go on YouTube and find somebody's spoiler-free review and learn absolutely fuck all. The Sparrow, Mary Doria Russell. I've read this before. I read it when it first came out in 1996, which was 25 years ago. That can't be, that's right, isn't it? 25 years ago. That's a quarter of a century ago. Good God. I absolutely loved it back then, and I recommend this book all the time. I also read the sequel, Children of God, which came out a couple of years after The Sparrow, but I found it very weak. I was very disappointed with this. So for me, the story ends at the end of The Sparrow, and I have wiped that other book from my memory. This is very self-contained. You don't need to know what happens next. But I must admit that I was a tad apprehensive and very curious to be reading it again after 25 years. And I added more pressure to the situation by making this our community read-along last month. I'll get into the details of the plot in a minute, because arguably more important than the story, the characters or the writing is the philosophical message and the personal filter that this book has to pass through for everybody that reads it. I know it feels a little bit like I've jumped to the end of the review where I usually examine the pondering moments, but I'm going to assume that everybody watching this has read The Sparrow, and we can have that vibe right from the start. I'm reading this book about faith, about the Society of Jesus, about organised religion's place in a universe that seems to contradict the word of God. I'm reading this book as an atheist, and I'm very comfortable with my lack of faith. That's not a million miles away from where my head was in 1996, but between the two reads, I have thought about this subject quite a lot, so I got more out of it this time. I think that's why The Sparrow has huge potential to be truly great, because the reading experience will be a personal flavour depending on the individual's beliefs. That's something that hard science fiction struggles with sometimes, that philosophical angle. I admit that The Sparrow can be a little bit soft and silly in places, but it has a different kind of weapon. I think I'll try and split this review up into chunks. I can already feel myself wobbling all over the road. It's that kind of book. The plot, and I suppose I can talk about the structure of the narrative here as well. It's easy to forget that this is actually a fairly straightforward traditional first contact story. The SETI Institute pick up a signal in outer space somewhere near Alpha Centauri, proof that aliens actually exist. It's very exciting, but it's 4.3 light years away, so no government is in a hurry to pay for a mission. But the Jesuits, who are the scientific division of the Catholic Church, is that right? Is that accurate? They privately and secretly fund a mission, a spaceship to go to the planet of Rakat. So the story has this fantastical what-if feeling to it, because a group like that, there's no way that they would be able to get a hollowed out asteroid, strap some rockets to it, and fly to another solar system. I'm talking directly to the people that already hate the book for this reason. I do understand why you would be turned off. I'm not saying you're reading the book wrong, but you have to suspend assumptions of the real world to make this work. The Sparrow is just not interested in being realistic in that manner. The same goes for the crew. They are competent, intelligent, sciencey people, but remember, Mary Doria Russell is telling a story about people, about family, about humans. It is a little bit like, hey, I'm going on the most important mission ever attempted by the human race. Do you fancy coming along? What are you doing for the next few years? Oh, fuck it. Yeah, why not? So massive shortcuts are taken in logic. They fly to this planet, they land, they observe, and then they meet the aliens. I did find this middle act fascinating in the same way that I find all First Contact stories fascinating. Yeah, I get it. The plot is very convenient. Everything's a little bit convenient. The aliens are enough like us. You know, they live in houses, they cook food, they walk around. They're like big frog dog people, and the humans live with them for a bit and start to communicate. Eventually we learn that there is another alien race that is more powerful, or they have a higher status, and they live in a city down the road. So it gets more interesting, and then things start to unravel. This is where the structure of the book comes into play. In fact, I think it's essential for its success. If it was just a story about humans going to an alien planet, meeting the dog frog people, hanging out with them, oh, aren't they like us but also a bit different, and then we don't quite understand them and we get fucked over, great, but yeah, so what? From the very start of the Sparrow, we know that the main character, Father Sandos, is the only survivor of the mission, and now he's back on Earth 40 years later or something. He is trying to explain what happened, why he murdered an alien child and became a sex slave. This narrative trick works beautifully, or it's beautifully tragic. It's that feeling of impending doom, you know, horror on the horizon. We want to know how the hell we ended up here. And that's the key to the book. It's about a man that pours his heart and soul into his faith. He dedicates his life to the church, and it becomes more than a test. It fucks him over, and he questions the existence of God and what the point of anything was. Think about how this book would feel if the story unfolded in a straight line, in a linear fashion. We would still end up in the same shitty, horrible place, but much of the book would be quite happy and exciting. Yay! We've found aliens. We're going to another planet in a spaceship. Isn't it brilliant? Aren't we all funny? Don't we all fucking love each other? And then you wouldn't get the shit until the end. It reminds me a lot of Gaspar Noé's film Irreversible. You are shown the disgusting, horrible ending to the story at the beginning of the film, and by the time you get to the end of the film, everything is awesome, and then you're thinking, oh shit, no, it's not awesome, because I know what's gonna happen now. It's kind of like that. This is much more powerful. Most of the time, we're waiting for pretty much everybody to die and for Father Sandos to have all the flesh removed from between his fingers. Oh, you really felt that, didn't you? Hello, Moid of the Future here. Thank you for tuning into one of our archive videos, which was recorded many moons ago. Media Death Cult has evolved a lot over the years, so be sure to check out the more recent projects on the channel. You can support what we do here by grabbing yourself a t-shirt or a mug at the merch store, using Buy Me a Coffee, which is an online tipping service, or you can actually join the cult on Patreon and gain access to our exclusive Discord server, the best read-alongs in the galaxy, and the podcast, Radio Death Cult. Links to all that good stuff in the description of this video. Thank you so much. Peace! I have a similar feeling towards the characters, the way the characters are written, as I do the plot. Everything is a little bit convenient to serve the story, not necessarily realistic. In the case of the Sparrow, that tells me caricatures are a very good thing if they serve a purpose. It's very smart writing because you can concentrate on the situation rather than having to flesh out the people too much. And that situation is the plight, the personal journey of Father Sandos. He is the focus of the book and pretty much the only character that matters. Everybody else feels like fodder, but I did still enjoy some of the other characters. I liked the mumsy quality of what, I've forgotten her name. That kind of illustrates my point. Anne and George, right? They were interesting enough to read about. I thought Sophia had a little bit of an arc as well. She was kind of interesting, but those characters are really only there to debate religion and faith with Father Santos. They're there to kind of pull the thread of his belief system. I'm very happy with the way that it's done. While you're reading the book, it does feel powerful and interesting and important, and it does feed into that backwards plot structure. Right from the start of the book, you understand that it's a character study. I think the actual writing is a little bit ordinary. It's very easy to follow. It's well paced and it's functional. That's a positive comment when you're talking about a book like this with a heavy subject matter, because it gives you time to concentrate on the bigger themes of what's going on. I love purple prose. I like special writing, but it's not always necessary to have it in every novel. And it's a very rare thing for a writer to be brilliant at everything. Mary Doria Russell is great, but she's not Le Guin. Actually, that's a little bit harsh. I did really appreciate the feeling that I had when we were on the planet, and that's something that stuck with me for 25 years. I can picture the landscape without her going on too much about the world building. It had a colour palette, it had a tone, which can only be achieved through good writing. I should move towards some sort of conclusion. This is a very, very easy book to talk about. I'm just trying to keep the video under 20 minutes if I can. I suppose the enjoyment of the Sparrow depends on how you're judging it. This is a science fiction community, and that's why I'm recording this video. It may be about aliens and space travel and a little bit of time dilation, but this thought experiment, philosophical debate of a book could be set in a completely different genre. The 1700s on a sailing ship, the Jesuits go to a remote island in the Indian Ocean to spread their message, their word of their version of God. The crew get sick because of some weird tropical disease. The customs are different on this island, and the priest gets rescued from the savages and has a crisis of faith. Personally, I really don't care how hard or soft the science fiction is, or whether it's science fiction at all once I'm reading the book. I'm just judging it as a book, as a reading experience. Nor do I care that my personal belief system is miles away from any of the characters in the book. I think the mission was really stupid and reckless. Don't eat the alien plants, you idiot! The point is, the reason why this book is brilliant is that it really got me thinking 25 years ago, and it really got me thinking again, and probably for the 25 years in between. What is God's place in the universe? What does that mean to me? What does that mean to Father Sandos? And what does that mean to Mary Doria Russell? And I'm not even sure why that is such an important thing to think about. It's not that it's a blind spot for me. I'm just fascinated how that can be so important to so many people. A score for the Sparrow. I think it's aged incredibly well. It's a timeless debate. No matter how far and technologically advanced we go in the future, this will always be relevant. We'll never be able to answer these questions, will we? So it was a 9 25 years ago, and it's a 9 today. 9. Did you love the Sparrow? Here's the thing, okay? I made it clear that I expected to be on my own. With the read-along in our community, I thought people would hate this. I thought people are so much more drawn to spaceships and lasers and the hard sci-fi, even though we read a lot of dystopian and you know, post-apocalyptic stuff. I didn't think people would like this. And I know the vast majority fucking loved it. So if you're one of those people, let me know. Did you hate it? I want to know if you're one of these people that just went, no, you can't just buy an asteroid and fuck off to another planet. That's ridiculous. If that really bothered you and affected your reading experience, I want to know from you as well. Or are you somewhere in the middle? I'm expecting comments all over the shop on this one.